Well, it's here at last. The squad for the British and Irish Lions Tour to South Africa 2021 was just announced. If you watched it live, you sat there about an hour and so faffing about. And then you got the Lions squad. It was probably worth the wait because there's a few bombshells in this one. I'm sure you guys have all seen it, but in case you haven't, props. Fagerson, Furlong, Jones, that's Wyn Jones, Sutherland, Makovunipola, and Porter. I look at that lineup and think Kyle Sinckler is probably the biggest omission of that lot. I thought he was maybe a lock to kind of go on the tour. Maybe you could say Healy and Genge, but overall, that's a pretty bloody good looking set of props. I think Furlong was probably always the one of the first names on that team sheet, one of the best tight heads in the world. Loose head was maybe a wee bit more open, but Wyn Jones seems to be everybody's favourite at the minute. So, yeah, no Sinckler. Marla didn't even get a letter from what he said in social media. Yeah, no Healy, but a couple of Scottish props who've both been pretty effective. The Scottish contingent is bigger than usual, but the English contingent is the biggest of the lot. For hookers, it kind of went according to plan. There wasn't really any dramas. Virtually everybody was picking Owens, George, and Cowan-Dickie. Those are the three guys going on the plane. So there's no Kelleher, who maybe would have been a bit of a bolter. Rob Herring, the Scottish hookers, Turner. Yeah, no, it was pretty much always going to be those three, and sure enough, it went with those. Second rowers, Alan Wyn Jones, he's the captain. There was, for mine, there was no doubt that he was always going to be the captain. I know some people say he's too old. I don't think so, personally. I look at the stats, I look at the games, and everything I see about him tells me he's still trucking along very, very well at his age. Itoje Tadhg Beirne, although he may be considered a loose forward, given that you've also got Henderson and Johnny Hill. Maybe Johnny Hill's the biggest bolter of that lot. I mean, no James Ryan, although I know he's had a lot of issues with his health in recent times. No Johnny Gray, who's an absolute tackling machine. Yeah. They're blessed for depth with locks, the British and Irish Lions, so yeah, no huge dramas there, although I do think Hill's a little bit of a bolter. For loosies, as another area, they're absolutely stacked with talent. Watson, Curry, Tipuric, Faletau, Simmons, Laws, if he's a loosie instead of a lock, and Conan. I honestly think of these ones, Tipuric, Curry, and Watson were virtually all guaranteed. Faletau probably likely as well. But Sam Simmons, and it was said, I think, by The Guardian about 8 hours ago, maybe 10 hours ago, that he would be going, and sure enough, he's going. Is that a bit of a middle finger to Eddie, or is that just a recognition of talent? I don't know. But man, Sam Simmons, that's the fact that he can make the British and Irish Lions, but he can't make England, is madness. And Jack Conan has actually been in good form. And I was kind of a bit miffed that everyone's had their own squads. Everyone was talking about him, but nobody was talking about him. They both made it. I wouldn't have seen that coming. So no Billy Vunipola, no Sam Underhill, no Josh Navidi, no CJ Zander, although he may or may not have been available with his retirement. Richie, Van der Fleer, Caelan Doris. There's heaps of guys who missed out. But yeah, that's just kind of the way it goes with the Lions squads. There's always a bunch of guys who miss out. Into the backs, Conor Murray, Ali Price, and Gareth Davies are your three guys for scrum half. And that's, I feel like, maybe one of the most open races in the game. I thought Conor Murray's probably got a bit of advantage going into this one. It means there's no Thomas Williams, John Cooney. A lot of people were saying Danny Kerr. Ben Young's pulled himself out. He made himself unavailable. I believe he is one of the guys who got one of the letters. But Murray, Price, and Davis are your guys. Biggar, Russell, and potentially Owen Ferrell covering 10. I always thought a Biggar selection was pretty much a lock. Russell, it's good to see his talents recognised by Gats, even if he's maybe not the most predictable of guys, which Gats may or may not entrust with a test match. And Owen Ferrell, I always picked him despite the fact that everyone was saying he's out of form. Gats will try and get these series and whatnot guys into form. The fact that the English contingent is as large as it is obviously shows Gats as a believer in class being more permanent and not just going on form. Obviously, you got to take it on a mix, but you can't just take things on recent form. So, yeah, I don't think there's kind of huge surprises there. No Johnny Sexton is maybe one of the bigger omissions. George Ford, people will be disappointed he doesn't get to go. But, yeah, they're pretty well covered. Midfield, Henshaw, Harris, Archie, and maybe Elliot, Daly. I guess the way as my phone keeps going off because it's the Lions time. Yeah, obviously George North was ruled out. I'm a bit surprised Jonathan Davies is not in the squad, but I guess he's not been in the best form. But by that same logic, if class is permanent, then maybe he should be there. Jonathan Davies is pretty well known by old Gats, so it's maybe a bit of a surprising one. Tuilangi, I thought maybe a like-for-like replacement in terms of size for George North if he wants a big unit of a man, although Henshaw is a big ball carrier. Feel chuffed for Chris Harris, though, because he was phenomenal in the Six Nations. Ringrose has been pretty good, but I guess he wasn't maybe the sizable guy that Gats wants. Don't know. That's an area that maybe the box will be looking to guys like Damien Delende and Lucanio Arm to get a bit of advantage on. I'm not sure. And outside backs, Hogg, Liam Williams, Rees-Zammit, Van der Merwe, Watson, Daly, and Adams. Like Lewis Rees-Zammit, if you're good enough, you're old enough, I thought maybe he's a little bit lacking experience and Gats would go a bit safer. If he's playing well, reward him with that Lions jersey. Apparently is the logic there. Van der Merwe, he'll be right at home, back in South Africa. I do worry about him if he's up against some pretty agile South African wingers, but he will be no stranger to that kind of thing, and he's very fast. He is unbelievably quick for a big man. Watson, I think, was always going. Adams was always going, even though for some reason people don't like him. Maybe people outside of Wales. Liam Williams, very assured guy at the back, and Elliot Daly, people won't. Again, I think maybe he's more of a midfield pick based on this, but yeah. Sorry, folks, it is after midnight here, so I'm still kind of having to process this and fight off the desire to sleep at the same time. But man, there's some pretty, I don't know if I want to call it left field or just unexpected. If you or me had picked a squad a week ago, which included Courtney Laws, Jack Conan, Sam Simmons, Bundee, I feel like you maybe would have gotten some pretty angry comments about it if you'd left out James Ryan. To a degree, if you'd left out Johnny Sexton. I don't know, that area is always a bit competitive, but yeah, that's the squad, folks. Some bombshells, like I mentioned, but yeah, Alan Jones is captain. I think it's 8 Scots, 8 Irish, 9 Welsh, and 11 English. So it's that's the squad. Obviously, there'll be more guys who come into the squad as we get injuries and stuff, but that's Gats's initial squad. We have it at last. It'll be interesting to see what Rassi and Jacques Ninaba do in the naming of their squad to come at some unknown date. But yeah, that's the squad. I'm going to go to bed. You guys let me know your thoughts. Who do you think has been absolutely hard done by? What do you think about Sam Simmons' inclusion? Jack Conan, Bundee, as I mentioned. Chris Harris, good reward for him. Good Scottish contingent. Scottish fans must be pretty chuffed. Anyway, as I said, going to go to bed. Take care, guys, and I will talk to you again soon. See you later.